everyone, I am back from almost a full week in the glorious, not hot Green Mountains of Vermont, and I thought I would walk you through the highlights, what we did each day, and of course, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, we need to talk about the outfits. But before I get into all of that, I did want to address what's going on up here. Some of you may have noticed, some of you have commented, and I apologize. I mentioned it briefly on Instagram stories, but should have addressed it here. You're wondering what's going on with my eyeballs. Honestly, so am I. But to cut to the chase, I was recently diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called uveitis, and it is currently affecting my right eye. As I'm filming this, I'm about a week and a half into treatment, and the treatment right now is composed of steroid drops 12 times a day, dilating drops twice a day, and then another set of drops twice a day to alleviate the pressure that could be building up on my optic nerve. So if you're wondering why my right pupil is significantly larger than my left, it's meant to be. It's a preventative measure to stop scarring from building up on my cornea, I think. Not entirely sure. But I'm under good care. I have great doctors. And as the treatment progresses, hopefully the steroid drops will also lessen, and 12 times a day will be a distant memory, hopefully sooner than later. And I do want to thank all of you who privately reached out to me, whether it was a DM or an email, to ask what's going on, to show your concern, and to even offer some suggestions for those of you that also suffer from uveitis. That also means I can't wear contacts in at least my right eye. So for now, the easiest way for me to see, well, anything, is to wear my glasses. And while I can't currently link them, I haven't been able to find them. They are from Michael Kors, and the style is called Anguilla, and I will put that information down in the description box. And since we're talking about the description box, if you want to find the links to all the things that we're talking about here, it is down below me where it says more. I also take all that and pin it to the top of the comments, and I love numbering things, so I'm going to number the outfits up there. All right, great, let's go. So my husband and I traveled for a little getaway to Manchester, Vermont, which is quite a haul from San Antonio, Texas. Why Manchester, Vermont? Because it is not San Antonio. No, I joke, but just a little bit. So every August or early September, we try to plan a getaway that is somewhere not hot. We picked the best week because we had highs without the heat index of 107 degrees down in San Antonio. Meanwhile, the lows in Vermont this last week were 50, 51. We were legitimately freezing, not complaining. So like I mentioned, it's a far, far way away from here. So day one is the travel day. That would be a Sunday. And I had a 2:30 in the morning alarm set. We had to leave the house at 3 so that we could get to the airport in time, check in our luggage, do all the things for a 5:30 a.m. flight to Albany, New York via Baltimore. So fly from San Antonio to Baltimore, Baltimore to Albany, and then drive an hour and a half to Manchester, Vermont, where we stayed at the Equinox Golf Resort. We'll talk more about the hotel later. Anyway, so it was a long travel day, so I wanted to be sure that I was wearing something I could be super comfortable in that would work when it was hot here or warm somewhere along the day. Also, that I would be warm. Airports and airplanes are notorious for being freezing. I actually also packed, I have my travel backpack here, my J. Crew oversized cashmere scarf. I used it as a blanket, as a scarf throughout the trip. So I had this handy, and I did use it on the airplane several times. But let's talk about this travel outfit. So I shared this recently in my most recent Amazon haul. If you missed it, I'll link it up here. And it was perfect. I added my favorite tank top underneath, the Time and True ribbed tanks, which apparently are only available online now and sold in sets of 3. So I just wanted you to be aware. I think it's 3 for about $23. Pretty good price there. And then I went with sneakers. I love these sneakers. They are a big splurge. I can link a few that look similar. I like them because, one, they are a true slip-on. I don't have to mess with the laces. They just go in. We're done. I like the color combo. And I like that it has a slightly higher sole so that if I wear longer pants, they're not dragging on the ground. It gives me a little extra height. And that's what I wore all day long. I also started wearing Bombas socks this month, and I specifically picked the lightweight no-shows for this because my feet get really hot in closed-toed shoes. Is this just me? Does anyone else have this issue? And so I knew I was going to be in shoes for a very long time, so my feet did not get hot, and I don't have a seam on the toe, which is also nice. It just doesn't irritate your feet. I know, I'm getting into too many details here, but it was a great outfit. Carried me through the whole day, the whole drive to the hotel where we checked in, threw our luggage in the room, and had a very quiet, very chill evening. Literally chilled. I ended up putting a puffer kind of hoodie thing on top, which we'll get to in another minute or so. I wore it throughout the trip, but sat on the outdoor patio back deck of the hotel, looking out onto the mountains, and just took it all in. Moving on to Monday, our first full day in Vermont, I need to let you know that my husband is a prince among men for many things, but one of the reasons is this man loves to plan a trip. He's the king of the itineraries. So he plotted out every day of our trip, came up with activities. It was glorious. All I had to do was wake up and go, what are we doing today? Actually, I didn't, because he also texted me an itinerary for my personal records. He's that kind of guy. Anyway, so Monday was pretty much a driving tour. And so we had big plans to do a morning walk through the woods first, but when we saw how much we had planned for the day, we went straight for the road trip. So the first thing we did was start driving on, I think it's called Scenic Route 100 or Loop 100. We basically did a big loop starting in Manchester, Vermont, and then just kind of went around the map. We went to towns like Ludlow, Plymouth, Killington, Rutland, back around to Manchester. The first planned stop was a place in Plymouth called the Plymouth Cheese Company. Like many things in Vermont, it's a small family-run cheese company. They make their own cheese there Monday through Thursday. They have a little store, they have a cheese museum, and they also ship to all over the country, and it's gotten a lot of buzz. And so of course we had to go check that out. And as we were walking around and we were talking to the mom of the actual cheesemaker, it turns out that she has family in San Antonio that we actually know. I love how small this world can be. So that was pretty cool. We sampled a lot of cheeses, learned about how they made the cheese, and then they have picnic bags to go that comes with a block of cheese, crackers, drinks, and we added a second block of cheese. We got their most popular cheddar and then the smoked cheddar, and then we headed out. Also stopped and checked out President Calvin Coolidge's historic home site, which is basically co-located with the Plymouth Cheese Company. And then we made our way to Killington, which was the next planned stop. So before we hit the gondola to go to the top of, I think it's called Mount Killington, we found a nice little scenic area with a pond and had a little car picnic with our cheeses and our crackers and our water, and it was just lovely. We had the windows rolled down. I don't even know if it was, I think it was only in the 60s. It was fantastic. So while we're talking about this beautiful fall weather, let's talk about this very quintessential fall outfit. I also recently shared this dress in my epic Walmart haul. If you missed it, it was pretty epic. There was a lot going on there. I'll link it too. It's a flannel style dress. It's very lightweight. It's not going to add a ton of warmth. It does come in several different plaids, but I love this blue and creamy white version. It has pockets, little flounce hem, and I paired it with some to-the-knee suede boots. I also brought along some rain boots. Luckily, didn't need them, well, till later on in the day, but I did waterproof my suede boots. I'm not sure how great a job it did, so if anyone has any recommendations for waterproof spray for suede and leather, please let me know in the comments. What I did bring along instead of the rain boots was this lined raincoat, which again, I also shared fairly recently in, I think it was my Amazon haul. This was one of the hero pieces of the trip for sure. I just wore it as a general jacket on most chilly days, and it did rain quite a few days while we were there, and so it definitely came in handy. And I love that it had the hood because then I didn't have to mess with an umbrella. I just pulled it over my head, pulled it really tight, and I could be hands-free. And speaking of hands-free, the purse I carried throughout the entire trip is this crossbody from Louis Vuitton. Because it's the wax canvas, I didn't have to worry about whether it got wet or not. So after a little picnic, Michael had pre-purchased gondola tickets to go to the top of Mount Killington. Beautiful views. It's just absolutely stunning to be around nature and just see the 360 degrees of that area. Absolutely gorgeous. You could see all the ski runs, which was interesting. I am not a skier. That's as close to a ski run as I'm going to get. I just have to say for the skiers in this group, there are a lot of black diamonds, double black diamonds. Definitely not somewhere I would ever want to attempt to ski. I have told this is not the place to go if you are a beginner, but it was absolutely beautiful in the summer. And then as soon as we got to the bottom of the mountain, huge torrential rainstorm, so perfect timing. We drove on to Rutland and stopped there specifically to go to their Walmart. I think that's the only Walmart in southern Vermont, possibly. Our hotel we have stayed at before and loved. Let's just say it has not fared well post-pandemic. So I want to still give it love because it holds a special place in my heart, but I would not necessarily recommend staying at the Equinox resort. The rooms really need updating. All the restaurants that we love to eat at, most most were not open. It's going through a bit of a rough patch. It's gone through several owners since the pandemic, and I really hope someone swoops in and gives it some love because I would love to go back. The grounds are amazing, the property is amazing, there's so much potential, but it just really missed the mark on this trip. We did actually consider checking out midweek and going somewhere else. It was that bad, but one of the things they didn't have was a functional coffee maker for the room. So we stopped by Walmart and picked up a $19 Keurig type coffee maker so we could enjoy coffee in the room every morning. That's like as high maintenance as I get. Then we went on back home for the week where we had dinner at a place called Mulligan's, just a very chill kind of sports bar place. Possibly the best French onion soup I've ever had. And then back to the hotel. They sell s'mores kits at the front desk, and we bought one and had s'mores for dessert on the back deck with their big fire pit. On to Tuesday, and I'm gonna not go into so much detail. I realize this could be an hour-long video that no one wants to hear me talk about every little detail of my vacation. But Tuesday was one of 2 designated golf days, but before we hit the course, we did a morning walk around the neighborhood near our hotel where there are these beautiful historic mansions, estates that turns out are summer homes. They're empty most of the year, and they are just incredible. So I dressed for our morning walk and to ride the cart with my husband while he played 18 holes, and so it was mostly for warmth and comfort. I don't have a great picture of the whole outfit. I had this quilted kind of puffer pullover. It's a Free People lookalike that I have shared before over my blue polo collar sweatshirt, and the lightweight cargo joggers I've shared in a light army green. I purchased them again in the navy. I'm wearing them in the extra small short. If you are curious, they do come in several lengths. And then I spent the entire time on the golf cart, or in it. I had the hood on, buttoned up. I was freezing. I brought this along, wrapped myself up like a babushka in it. I was cold, but it was nice to be cold. Again, not complaining, just 50 something degrees, no sun versus like 107 back home. It was a big temperature change. Another reason might not necessarily recommend going back to the Equinox is the golf course. The conditions were beautiful. The course is stunning, but they're just not running it well. According to my golfer husband, there's no marshal. Pace of play was terrible. So we kind of had to jump around a little bit to get around people, and we ended up not doing the whole 18 holes, and he canceled the second golf day. It was that bad. We did plan for one dressy dinner out, and so we made reservations at a beautiful restaurant called the Reluctant Panther. Absolutely beautiful, classic New England decor. The food was incredible, and I wore this really soft, comfortable, and I think it was very pretty, fine gauge sort of sweater knit dress. It's one of the new releases from Gibson Look. I also have it in black, but I really like this Cabernet maroon type color. It doesn't have pockets, sort of a looser fit. I think it would also look good with a belt, but I knew I was going to be absolutely gorging myself at dinner because we pretty much skipped lunch, so I opted to skip the belt. I did wear the same knee-high suede boots that I wore earlier in the week to dinner. And the restaurant itself is less than a block from the hotel, so we just walked to the Reluctant Panther and then walked back home. I did bring along this belted trench sort of shirt jacket. I purchased this last fall, I want to say, and it is still going strong, and it is a really versatile piece. It can be very casual. I think it was just dressy enough to wear it with this as well, and it was much needed because it did get pretty chilly once the sun set. Now on to Wednesday, and Michael and I are calling this Making Lemonade Out of Lemons Day because absolutely nothing went as planned, but we still had a fabulous day. So we were supposed to start the day by driving down to Lake Shaftesbury, renting paddle boats and paddling around the lake. What Michael did not look into, which is not his fault because it wasn't on the website, is that they were not open that day. Nobody was manning the booth. We did consider commandeering one of the paddle boats because they weren't locked up, but we did not want to commit some sort of misdemeanor or felony while in the state of Vermont, so we just opted to sit in the Adirondack chairs and enjoy the glorious lakeside scenery, the sounds. It was so beautiful, so peaceful. Kind of the theme of the entire week. Vermont is just... it's absolutely stunning there. So the outfit that I picked had to be comfortable enough to get in the paddle boats, and then we had planned to have lunch in Bennington, do some shopping at Bennington Pottery, do some touristy things walking around. So I wanted like a cute outfit. I could switch out the shoes. If you're noticing, I am wearing rain boots here. I just thought it would be a good option to wear boating, and there was a chance of rain, which never happened, thank goodness. So I did bring along a change of shoes that y'all never saw. They're just the same sneakers that I wore on my travel day. I'm a huge fan of these Ponte knit joggers. They can be casual. I mean, they're joggers, but Ponte knit, a little dressier than say sweatpants or general athleisure material that you see joggers made of. So kind of depending on what you pair with it. So I did pair, I wouldn't say dressy, but a little more elevated with the sweater tank and the matching cardigan that went over. Just, I think, a little more put together that could carry me throughout the day. And then, of course, wearing the raincoat that is the hero piece of this week. So then we headed down to Bennington, really looking forward to going to lunch at this written up diner called the Blue Benn Diner. It was okay. It was okay. I don't know that I would recommend driving to Bennington just to eat lunch there. It was fine. But we were really looking forward to going to Bennington Pottery to look at all the new glazes, find some new pieces, place an order, have stuff shipped back to our house. And we found that they have been closed since the pandemic. Now the website is still open, so we're still gonna place an order, but we weren't able to go to the store and see all the pieces in person. So that kind of broke my heart a little bit. I almost cried at the lunch table when we figured that one out. I think Michael almost cried. We were both really excited to go. Later on in the trip, actually our last day there, we found a store that carries Bennington pottery, so we were able to see a lot of the pieces that we wanted to order in person to determine like sizing and stuff. So it worked out, but that day, that was a major letdown. But we ended up riding around Bennington. We were up and down Route 7A, which is the most beautiful scenic route. We hit a bunch of really old historic cemeteries. We saw a lot of graves of soldiers from the American Revolutionary War. We saw Robert Frost's grave. We drove through a covered bridge. I mean, it was not a bad day. It was an amazing day. It turned out to be just incredible. We stopped at a really cool chocolate and ice cream place, got a bunch of fudge, maple candy, things I should not be eating, but when in Vermont, it was just glorious. It was a great day. And then we got back to the hotel. I changed into jeans and another pair of shoes. A little more casual, same top. And then we went to dinner at the Grouse, which is the restaurant at the Taconic Inn, which is where we almost ended up checking into. It's a Kimpton hotel. And I would say if you're going to Manchester, that's probably the place to stay. We are on to Thursday, which was our last full day in Vermont, and this was supposed to be golf spa day. It was just spa day. Michael was so frustrated by his experience at the Equinox golf course that he canceled his tee time. We did take a glorious morning walk to one of the favorite features of staying at the Equinox is you can walk straight out the back door, up this trail, and you end up at the Equinox Preserve. You don't have to stay at the hotel to walk this preserve. They have a parking lot. You can just drive up there and park and walk. And it is the most, how many times can I say glorious and peaceful and tranquil? I mean, you can see for yourself how beautiful this is. You're walking through deep forests, the sunlight dapples through, the birds chirping, we heard a bald eagle, and then you end up at this beautiful lake. It's just, if you just truly want to feel like you have left the world and you are just in the most amazing part of the planet in the middle of nowhere, even though you're not, this is the spot. It was just highlight of the trip. So for this, I was in what I'm always telling you to buy as soon as you see it on the website, Scoop scuba gear. I was wearing their funnel neck top and their joggers. Great for a walk. Great. I could have just stayed in it all day. I just stayed in it. I did stay in it all day until I got to my spa appointment. One of the nice things about the Equinox Resort is they do have a spa, and I scheduled something called a tension tamer. So it's a massage that just basically focuses on your head, neck, and shoulders and hands a little bit. You can add hot stones, which I did. It was exceptional. It was lovely. It was wonderful. I still feel kind of loose from it. So it was perfect. And I do want to say that Michael didn't completely give up on the golf. While I was at the spa, he found a driving range in town to work on his game. So he still got his golf in. And then that night, we decided to just keep it casual. I changed into this really fun, it's a sweatshirt. It has a little peplum bottom to it. Same pair of jeans from before. And we just had dinner at the Tavern in the hotel, which is only open a few days a week. They serve breakfast there, I think, every day, and then dinner there, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is how they did it. And I honestly had possibly the best carbonara pasta I've ever had in my life. Kind of unexpected to find it in a small tavern in Vermont, but there you go. And finally, if you're still here with me, it is time to go home and another long travel day. Thankfully, not quite as long. Well, yeah, it was pretty long. I'm not gonna lie. Getting from the upper northeast part of the country down to like the southwest part, it's really far. It's really far. So the nice thing was our flight didn't leave until 6:30 in the evening, so we had most of the day to kind of tool around and hang around the town just a little bit. So I changed into another scoop outfit, another pair of the same joggers, just in a different color. And then this is the V-neck top. I'll link it. As you know, with Walmart stuff, sometimes it's in stock, sometimes it's not. It just depends on when you're watching this video and what the supply chain is looking like. So it may be sold out while you're watching this. Tomorrow, if you're watching this, it may be fully stocked. Who knows? So check it out. Wearing those same sneakers again. And in the morning, we went to the next town over called Dorset, and they have a bakery there. Definitely check this out. It's breakfast and lunch only. I had the best. The food in Vermont is just so fresh. It's farm to table, most of it. There's very few, if any, chain restaurants. So just the quality of the food is incredible. I had avocado toast, which sounds so basic, but it was so good, with eggs and just fresh tomatoes, and it was amazing. And everyone who was sitting on the patio had their dogs with them, which made us miss our dogs, but it was fun to interact with other people's dogs. And I just wanted you to see how I'm wearing that belted trench shirt jacket, this time very, very casually. And then after, let's call it brunch, back to the hotel, I decided to ditch the shirt jacket because it was really warming up, and I did have this thing with me if I got cold on the plane. So put that in the suitcases, and we headed back to Albany, New York. We did have some delays, and we didn't get home. If you're watching this, I am filming this Saturday afternoon. We got home at, well, 12:40 this morning, technically. So it was another long day. And as much fun as I had in Vermont, and it holds a special place in my heart, I am so glad to be home to sleep in my own bed. I loved being away from the heat, but I was also cold the entire trip. And it is nice to be warm again, I have to say. As much as I love being at home, I think it is important to travel outside of your bubble, experience new places, even if it's a new place in your own country, interact with people that aren't like you, that have a different culture, that eat different food, that think different things. It was neat to interact with the people of Vermont, mostly Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York. Definitely a different culture. I learned that New Englanders aren't necessarily unfriendly. They're just a bit more reserved. And it was pretty funny that the only people that said hello back to us or initiated conversation when we were out and about were other Texans. So that was kind of funny. In any event, I hope that this was helpful, whether you're planning a trip to southwestern Vermont or just curious about some fall outfits that you can wear that are very travel friendly as well. I did pack a few other things because I wasn't sure about the weather. I packed a few tops, especially that were for if the temperature got warmer. It didn't. I packed a few more activewear, fitness type outfits, thinking we would get on some more walks, but because of the rain and things like that, we didn't. I'm not going to say that I overpacked, but I did have options, and I appreciated that. Let me know if you enjoy these kind of walkthrough videos. All the info you need is down in the description box. I'll link not only all the outfits I talked about, but all of my travel gear, the restaurants we ate at, the hotels, etc. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm so glad to be back home with y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!